What's up, guys? Today we've got a pair of extremely nice speakers that I've been wanting to check out for the past, I don't know, a few years now. These are the Focal Sopra No1s. They are made in France, handmade in France. So these are the No1s. There's number 1, number 2, number 3. Bill, pop the top on that.
All right, here we go.
Ooh. What is this?
There's the instruction booklet and the little...
Yeah, look at that.
Look at that.
This is like...
The pedigree pack.
So each one of these is hand inspected.
Oh, wow.
This one is by Carl.
Who knows? I don't know.
I think that's his
It looks like Carl.
Instruction manual.
Number 1,
owner's
number
manual.
2, number 3.
So these are, I think they're about 42 pounds each.
Oh, yes.
Comes in a nice Focal branded bag. Look at that, that's nice. I believe these came out in like 2015, so a few years ago. So they've been kicking for quite some time. Looks like it's got a glass top here with the Focal branding on top here. This top portion here is actually where the tweeter resides. And this is a beryllium tweeter. This is a beryllium tweeter, which is actually like 20 times more rigid than aluminum.
Yeah, it's got an amazing frequency response.
Frequency response is up to like 40,000 hertz. So it should be ultra transparent.
Well, the dogs will really like it because we can't hear it at that high, but it's okay.
This whole structure here is what houses the tweeter. So if we look at the actual cabinet itself, you can see it's got a slight rake to it. The actual mid-range. The enclosure actually kind of kicks back a little bit. It tilts back a little bit, and then the tweeter structure kind of it tilts forward a little bit. So it's like the mid-range, the base, and the tweeter kind of aligns forward to presumably reach your ears at the same time. Now if we take a look at the front here, the grill is removable. It's magnetically attached. There's magnets on the top and on the bottom. There's a little pull tab here, so if you just want to like attach that, you can grab the tab, you can pull it. So yeah, so the cone is made out of actually like glass fibers. So there's like foam in between the glass fibers, and it's said to be 20 times more rigid than like Kevlar. So it's supposed to be super lightweight, and they can actually tune this cone to whatever frequency response that they want. So it's supposed to be super quick.
Wow.
I mean,
much more predictable frequency response.
Yeah, super responsive and more transparent. So we'll definitely check that out when we plug it into the system that we have here. This is a 6.5-inch driver here. Frequency response goes down to 45 to 40K. And around back we have a slot loaded port. And this is what I like. So we got the binding post here, but these are nice little handles.
Oh, look at that. That's much nicer than just like the typical hard plastic kind of terminal posts.
Correct. The next one we're gonna unbox is the Sopra Center. So this is gonna be the left, center, right, left surround, right surround. And then we have the center channel speaker, which is right here. So this is booklet in the box, Focal branded bag. And
oof, look at that thing.
This is nice, look at that.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
This is like an automotive finish.
Metallic, yeah, it's a metallic flake black.
Yeah, look at that. That's real nice.
That's hot. Now, I just had a question. Do these have stands that they go on, or?
These actually do come with stands. You can get stands for the N1s, No1s, which are about $2,000 a pair. And they screw to the bottom of the speaker. Unfortunately, they did not have any to send to us, so we're just gonna have to use our regular stands. These have the exact, actually they're not the exact same mid-range woofer, but they are the same size. They're 6.5-inch, the same W drivers. This is a 3-way speaker. Behind this tab is a 3-inch mid-range.
These aren't magnetic clamp.
No, these are not magnetic. These are actually like pressure fitted on there. Matching beryllium dome tweeter. But on the back, you get the same high quality binding posts, which I like because it's got the big thick rubber grips. Same slot port in the back. It must be like 40, 50 pounds maybe. That's beefy. That's beefy. Frequency response on this guy is 55 to 40K. almost goes as low as the main left and right speakers. Pretty close. The mains go down to like 45. So it should be acoustically timbre matched, pretty close timbre matched to the front left and rights. For setup, I've got the speakers hooked up to a Trenov Altitude processor, and they're going to be powered by a pair of Macintosh amps. I'll be using a Zapiti media player for demos, and I'm going to run the speakers full range without any help from subwoofers. Since this is only a temporary setup and it's 5 channels, I'll be placing the surround channels on stands to the sides and slightly behind the seats. These are some of the best sounding speakers I've heard for music. They've got a huge soundstage and they're extremely detailed. If you want to check out the 2-channel review, you can find it on my channel Spare Change. Subscribe there if you haven't already. So we're not going to talk about music in this video. This is only going to be for home theater. Now, since I thought these were so detailed, the first demo I threw in was The Revenant on 4K. This is an atmospheric DTS mix that's expertly crafted. It's not in Atmos or in DTS-X, but with the speakers set up properly, the speakers will do a disappearing act in your room and leave nothing but a 3-dimensional, impressively detailed audible landscape. There are subtle layers of sound. You'll hear the water running, insects, birds moving throughout, animals, and footsteps. It's a highly layered presentation with a ton of nuance up top. It gives me that transparent feel that I like so much when I hear an electrostatic speaker. I've never heard a beryllium tweeter in my room before, but after hearing these guys, I'm totally sold. Next, I wanted to give these speakers a little more to do and see how the surround speakers held up, which I'm sure they're fine since they're exactly the same as the fronts. So I threw in Godzilla King of the Monsters on 4K Blu-ray. I don't have to tell you, but this is a surround sound extravaganza.
All fighters, weapons free.
These already handle delicate surround mixes better than anything I've heard so far. They also do an outstanding job of handling loud, aggressive dynamic mixes as well. Seeing as the surround channels and the fronts are identical, you will get perfectly matched panning amongst all 4 speakers. Since the timbre is exactly the same, when that missile fires from back to front, it'll carry the same mid-bass extension as it moves. I'm personally a fan of having surround channels that can handle a bit of bass, rather than dumping it into a subwoofer, and using the number 1s as surrounds is kind of overkill, but it's worth it. It didn't matter if I had the volume cranked to reference levels or higher, the speakers never sounded compressed or even harsh on my ears. I've heard some tweeters give out at louder volumes, but the vocals were smooth at all times. Since these could handle an ample amount of bass, I popped in Fury on 4K Blu-ray next. This movie's got a ton of bass around 35 Hz, so let's see how these speakers do.
All take, start squirting that tree line. Let's light him up.
As expected, these alone aren't going to give you a gut check without a subwoofer attached. There's some decent extension due to my room placement, but they do lack the punchiness that happens every time there's a tank fire or gunshot. There's still that huge expansive soundstage with various effects precisely positioned, but for these types of bass-heavy soundtracks, you will need to have a subwoofer. If you can't fit a subwoofer, these will do just fine, although you're going to be missing out on that extra low-end dynamic. Since I've got these speakers running full range, I wanted to see how the center channel held up with a good amount of bass running through it, so I popped in Interstellar. There's a couple scenes in this movie that has bass that goes down to 20 and 30 Hz in the center channel, so watch it if you're not using bass management.
There he is, Mach 1. Everybody good? Plenty of slaves for my robot colony?
We gave him a humor setting so he'd fit in better with his unit. Thinks it relaxes us.
A giant, sarcastic robot.
So the center channel performed just as good as the other 4 speakers. It's got a weighty presence that handled the shuttle takeoff with no problems, although it's not going to dip down to 30 Hz or even 20, which does tonally match the left and right. Some center channels can sound flat even with a subwoofer, but the Sopra Center has excellent mid-range that made dialogue sound articulate and natural and can handle some extended bass. And just an FYI, the crackling in this video is from the shuttle taking off and not from the center channel breaking up. Now if you do want to get a better blend amongst all the speakers, you can always add one of Focal's own subwoofers. That'll smooth out bass response with the number 1s and the Sopra Center channel. That's going to obviously make movies more dynamic, and if you're into multi-channel music, as good as the Focals are for movies, they're even better for music. Now I have included some measurements taken by our resident speaker expert, James Larson. You'll be able to find his full written review on audioholics.com. But as you can see, these measure really well and do drop off around the rated 55 Hz. At the time of this video, a pair of Sopra No1s are $10,000 a pair, and the Sopra Center is $4,000. These are pricey speakers, no doubt, and I can say, subjectively to my ears, the Sopras are the best sounding bookshelf speakers I've heard in my theater. The only real negative I'd have if I was going to throw this in a dedicated theater space is, to me, these speakers aesthetically are just too nice looking to vanish in a dark room. I don't think you'd want to hide these behind a screen, and they're really glossy and can be reflective if they're too close to your display. I'm just basing this on looks and my personal preference. Performance-wise, I'm gonna hate having to give these things back. I'd consider these a reference bookshelf speaker for music, and they do double duty for movies equally as well. They're transparent, refined, and just about every other adjective you can find to describe awesome. As a complete home theater setup, it really doesn't get that much better than this for an ultra-detailed, cohesive surround experience. Now they could be a bit punchier for big action movies, but that's why they make subwoofers. Now if I could comfortably fit 11 Sopra No1s for a full Atmos setup, I would absolutely do it. It's just too bad they don't make ceiling mounts for these guys. So what are your thoughts on Focal speakers? Have you heard any, and how did you like the sound? Leave a comment and let us know. Now if you do want to check out the full written review for these speakers, then stop by audioholics.com. And if you want to support the channel even further and get exclusive content, then swing by our Patreon. As always guys, like, share, and subscribe, and remember, keep listening.